I think I need to start curbing my expectations anytime I'm excited for a new movie. Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Come on. Do it. Do it!
So Bullet Train is a new action comedy with an ensemble cast, but it most predominantly stars the legendary Brad Pitt, who I'm a big fan of, by the way.
Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
It's directed by the director of Deadpool 2 and Hobbs and Shaw. And based on that information, I guess I should have saw this coming. Listen, by no means is Bullet Train the worst thing I've ever seen. It is very much that brand of highly stylized action movies with these zany, off-the-wall characters. And it makes it feel like it should have been released in the early 2000s or something like that. And yes, there are some decent action sequences, but even those felt a bit underwhelming to me.
Whoopie fucking do. Hey, I'm impressed.
I think the biggest problem with this movie is that it feels very been there, done that. For a couple of reasons, actually. For one, I felt like I already seen the entire movie in the trailer, and when I actually watched the movie, it pretty much confirmed that. Creating compelling trailers is a dying art at this point, and the trailer for Bullet Train was a good example of just showing too much.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
The other reason that it feels very familiar to me is the plot, or lack thereof. A misfit group of people all cross paths with each other, and there's some kind of connective tissue to explain why exactly. I feel like we've seen this setup a million times in movies. As far as the characters go, we got the highly dangerous killer type, who's changing his ways and trying to find himself. Stop me if you've heard that before. And we got two British brothers who felt like they were ripped right out of a Guy Ritchie movie. We got underground crime bosses, we got Yakuza with masks and samurai swords. While I was watching it, I was like, will you please show me something that I haven't seen before?
We ain't found shit!
As far as Brad Pitt goes, and I don't say this very often, but I feel like he was severely miscast in this role. Every single time any movie tries to make Brad Pitt look like kind of a dork, I just can't buy it. He's too cool for that. Aaron Taylor Johnson was probably the highlight of this movie for me, and I don't say that very often.
You didn't see that coming.
But his character, Tangerine, seemed very believable and very well delivered. I think the issue with these types of movies is they typically turn their characters into more of a caricature. It's fine if you want to do that, but you better make damn sure that if that's your plan, that you do it in a way that's acceptable to the audience. It doesn't feel like they 100% did that here. All these characters feel very hokey to me. There are cameos in this movie that I won't spoil here, but I will say this, there are a lot of familiar faces who pop up in this movie, and they're all supposed to be a little bit more crowd-pleasing than they actually end up being. It got to the point where I was starting to wonder if the movie studios had a 2-for-1 deal, and they just shot this movie at the same time as The Lost City from earlier this year. When you actually see the movie, you'll understand why I say that.
I don't get it.
This movie very much has that quirky, raunchy, Deadpool type tone to it. I see a lot of movies try to pull that tone off since the success of Deadpool, but I'm starting to think that Ryan Reynolds is the only person who can successfully deliver it. When James Gunn does it, or when this director does it without Ryan Reynolds, it feels a lot less organic. Why? There is a lot of humor in this movie. I'm talking MCU levels and beyond of not being able to take any situation seriously. It just traded in the cringe and campy humor for the more R-rated humor. I understand that a lot of people like that, and that was probably the direction the director wanted to go in, but sometimes you just have to let certain things breathe in order for them to work cinematically, or for your audience to be invested in what's happening. I never once felt invested in anything going on in Bullet Train.
I don't give a fuck.
And I didn't really find much of the humor to be all that funny either. This feels like a missed opportunity because the concept has a lot of potential. I was fully prepared to have to defend this movie against critics who have an agenda against it. Now that still may be going on, but that doesn't make this movie a good movie either. On more than one occasion while watching this, I actually completely checked out. And I actually found myself checking the time regularly. That might be a sign that the movie was too long also. It might have been better served to have this movie be a brisk hour and 30 minutes instead of over 2 hours. I mean, we're not talking about Shakespeare here. The plot is razor thin, and I think they could have pulled it off in less time.
That makes sense.
Here's the thing too, I love movies with simple concepts. I love when they try to do the most with the least. But you also have to be creative about it. And this film just lacked originality to me. By the end of it, I just had a very seen-it-all-before reaction to it. I was mostly bored watching an action comedy, and that doesn't say much for the entertainment value or rewatchability of Bullet Train. I was excited for this movie, and honestly, I was a little let down, and that's why I'm going to have to give it the Angry Rocky.
That's right, it stinks!
Y'all be cool. Nah.